Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, you're really welcome. I'm Jane, my husband Michael is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free, and living here in Brittany in northwest France on a super tight budget, and we are thrifty, frugal and money saving people. And every Sunday we share an aspect of our lives with you, but this Sunday's a bit different. Let's take a look. I don't know about you, but I get a sense, I get a feeling of a mind shift change with so many people. We're not seeing so much of the fear of missing out. We're not seeing the statements when we share our lives here, there and everywhere of, oh, that's boring, oh, I wouldn't want to live like you. We're seeing things differently. We're getting questions, we're getting more interest, we're getting more people talking to us about budgeting and how do you do it and tell me more about this. And so this Sunday we've decided to have a little share with you, bit of an extension from the midweek money chat, except it's Sunday. So today we're going to look at that the time for frugality is now. Because it's Sunday and we sort of open up a bit more on a Sunday and talk to you more about our lives, I'm going to take you back in time and share a bit of family history with you. So Mike and I were both born in the 1960s and our parents were born at the end of the 1930s. So they grew up in post-war United Kingdom where there were great shortages, there was rationing. You just couldn't buy clothes whenever you wanted, people just didn't have the money. And our grandparents experienced firsthand what it was like to go through those extraordinarily economic times of the 1920s and the 1930s, where we saw this global financial crash and it affected markets and the economies across the world. So we have this shared experience. We then were children in the 1970s with horrific inflation and shortages and power cuts. And then we were young people in times of boom and bust of the 80s and the 90s. And here we are again in another bust. So we're sort of sharing that experience that we as a family have been on this historical economic roller coaster. And what we came out of it with were a certain set of skills that we could just pull out of collective consciousness, pull out of family discussions, pull out of the family history and memory banks and use. You'll say, where are you going with this waffle and story, Jane? We're living through that again. And it's the time for frugality again. Our grandparents learned it, went through it, our parents and us, and the generation are going to learn it now. So, when is the time for frugality? Right now. So we're going to have a look today at what frugals do. I'm a frugal, you might be a frugal, who knows? But what frugals do, and my first point is that we spend money wisely. It doesn't matter if we're in the supermarket, we're buying something for the garden, for the house, for a family member, a gift, a handbag, whatever it is. We ask questions. Do I really need this? Do I really want it? Can I afford it? Can I pay cash for this? Do I already have one? Could I buy it second hand? Can I wait for this to come on sale? Have I got a discount voucher for this? Will it last? And is it good quality? And like my grandparents and my parents and us, this is a skill that people are learning right now, and I think generation by generation, they're going to take forward with them. Let's talk about avoiding waste. Leave a comment below if you've experienced this too. Who grew up in a house where you didn't leave the door open because you either let the heat in or the heat out? You didn't leave that tap running. You didn't put that oven on to cook on it and then walk away and forget it. Woe betide anyone who did that in my house or my mother's house or my grandmother's house. You just didn't do it. You didn't waste things. You didn't get in the car and drive round for the sake of it. You used that car when you had to. You didn't wash dirty. You didn't wash clean clothes. You only washed dirty clothes. You just didn't waste things. And that's something else that people are going to learn now and they're going to take forward with them. And, leave that comment below. Who else says that to their children now that you didn't say in the past? Turn that light off. Don't leave that tap running. What's that in the laundry basket for? You haven't even worn it. It's not even dirty. Put it back in the cupboard. It's a new discussion that everyone's going to have, and I think it really is a behaviour that's going to stick with some people. And the good thing that's going to come out of this is that they're not going to waste. The next point, and this really is a behaviour that I saw growing up and that I still do in my house now, and I think people are going to do now and they're going to pass on to their children, is that you use up every single last drop. I think I came from a family and I knew people like this as well. It's like it's on their peripheral vision, isn't it? They can hear you opening up a jam jar, and before you've even released the vacuum, someone's yelled at you, use up the strawberry jam, it's already open. And I think this is going to be a mindset shift. You're not going to open another bottle of shampoo. You're not going to open another bottle of shower gel or a jar of sauce or anything. You're going to use everything up to the last drop. And how many of us grew up that ketchup bottle when you were down to the last shake and you couldn't get any more? You rinsed it out, you popped it in a stew, a casserole or a soup, and you used every last drop. If you're like me, you will have grown up watching your parents fix things. Somebody in the family was always fettling with something and fixing the car. Somebody was always sitting there with a box of darning, sewing back on buttons, turning collars, fixing cuffs, patching cuffs, all of those things. I think that's going to come back. I really do. I think this is something that people are embracing, along with not wasting things. We're seeing TV shows about repairing things of beauty and value, but also everyday items. We're seeing community groups offering to help people to learn to fix things. So I think whenever we have times where we are forced to be frugal, we are forced to stretch our money, from that we have skills that we take forward, that we pass on. Whether it's just getting a second-hand set of curtains and putting an extension panel on the bottom of it, or buying an item of clothing that's not quite the right size and taking it up or taking it in. And there's something else that I think people will bring back and take forward, because we're all going to start and return to fixing things. I think we've lost the art of budgeting. Mike and I budget. I know many of you watching are budgeting. I know many people out there use really great apps and methods of tracking all of their spending, all of your earnings, all of your savings. But it's not as common as we would like it to be. And well, the world is the world. We've had a lot of times with people, a lot of easy spending, a lot of easy credit, and a lot of easy debts. And I think what people are going to come out of this is to see it only took an increase in their electricity bill or their mortgage payment to absolutely tip them over the ability to afford things. So I think what could come out of this is that now people are actually saying everything needs a line on that budget, from buying kids items they need, to clothing, to running the car. Absolutely everything's got to have a line on the budget. And once upon a time it was always like that. That little black book that came out on a Friday night when the pay came in and the envelope got opened and all the little columns, the money for the rent, the money for the gas and the electricity, the money going to the coal man, the money that you were going to put fuel in the car, the money for housekeeping and food, and the money that was going to go into savings and the Christmas fund, and the little bit of money you paid each week to the butchers for Christmas, and the supermarket and the family store on the high street where you got your Christmas box and things like that. And I think we are really going to see a return to people understanding that we don't just budget in the hard times, that if we budget in the good times and everything has a line on the budget and we prioritise savings, that I think it is a behaviour that some people will drop, times will get better and everyone will go back to spending money again. But there's always going to be a percentage of people who take this forward with them, who pass it down to their kids, who show this to their grandchildren. So I think what will come out of this times of frugality, I think we will see more people budgeting, more people having this as a habit, and more people having this as something that people ask about and share. How do you budget? Let's have a look at that. My final point, and it's quite a big one, is all about financial priorities. And I'm going to share more of my life with you. I grew up in a house where at no stage did my parents ever say, heck to it, let's go and spend all our money. Let's all go out for fish and chips and ice cream and let's go and blow your dad's wages and have a really good time. It was never like that. I saw firsthand financial priorities. The bills were paid, the rent was paid, the gas and electric money was paid. I remember the savings, the man from the Pearl and Prudential, all those people about the savings and the money that you put aside, and seeing that firsthand. So I didn't grow up seeing all of that, let's just spend it on this, that or the other. And I think we've lived through times of affluence, which is cool, which is good. I'm all for people being well off and having spare money and having a good time. But I think what's going to come out of this, for some people, and like I've said with many of the examples I've given you, is people are going to take this forward. They are going to take this forward and go, do you know what? We're going to get our financial priorities right. We're going to put a percentage aside and save. We're not going to just bounce paycheck to paycheck going, oh, well, we've got enough money, more money's going to come in at the end of the month. They're not going to do that anymore. They're going to say, we're going to have these clear financial priorities. We're going to put the money aside for Christmas. So we're never going to use a credit card again. We're going to put the money aside for a new car. So we won't need to when this one is at the end of its warranty or at the end of its life to us. We have to take out finance again. We're going to save money for the washing machine so we don't have to go to the shop and get an interest-free credit loan. We're going to make it our financial priority to save money, or at the very least not live paycheck to paycheck. So I think what's going to come out of this, I think people are going to prioritise what they do with their money and make sure they make sound decisions with it and put money aside. Let's go full circle. Let's go full circle. But the time for frugality is now. I'm sure that my grandparents learned as they went along. I know that my parents learned as they went along. Mike and I, through experience and one financial hiccup and boom and bust and financial downturn after the next, have learned as we've gone along. And I really do think people are going to come out of this, some of them, with a different set of skills and a different mindset. I'm looking at my notes here. I think people are really smart. I think really people are really flexible and adaptable. And we are seeing people and families doing anything and everything that they can to make it work. And moving forward, I think it's something that many people, a good percentage, will take forward with them into the future. And they're going to say every day, time for frugality is now. Thank you to everybody who's watched the video today, and thank you to everyone who's a subscriber. Thank you to everyone who leaves comments. We love them. We read every single one of them. And who knows, some of the points that we've raised with you today might resonate with you or bring up memories or say to you, yeah, that's something I've learned and I am going to take it forward with me. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. Bye.